When I was 12, I pondered the meaning of my life. More specifically, I explored what I wanted people to remember as my most highly developed, most admirable quality. In short, what did I want my friends and relatives to write on my gravestone? And after much deliberation, I declared that I wanted my epitaph to read, "He was funny." And soon after that, I lost that particular ambition. But humor has always had this special place in my heart. And it leads me to ask you, what is it that makes things funny? Sure, we know what makes us laugh, but why does it make us laugh? Why do some jokes seem funny, other jokes just kind of fall flat? Well, tonight I'm going to talk about what tries to be a grand, unifying theory of humor. I'm going to describe how this theory works, what it does, how it's been investigated scientifically, and then I am going to just leave you with a couple of ideas about how understanding this might help you in your everyday life. So, what is the name of this theory? I know you are wondering. It is called the benign violation theory. And it says that for a situation to be funny, three things have to be true. The situation has to violate some rule or some norm. It has to be benign or safe in some way. And it has to do both of these at the same time. In other words, wrong way, right way, okay. In other words, for something to be funny, it has to be simultaneously okay, safe, innocent, not causing great harm, and also, at the same time, be wrong, not following the conventions, breaking the rules, and not fitting in with the paradigm. Think about going down the stairs. You walk down the stairs, you get to the bottom, that is boring. That is safe, that's not funny. Think about falling down the stairs, breaking your hip, that's not funny either. That is kind of threatening. But think about tripping at the top, getting into a willy-wah, doing a somersault, landing on your feet, ta-da! Well, you know, now you have kind of a scene that would be on America's Funniest Home Videos. This theory does a really good job of explaining a lot of these jokes that we hear. It explains our dirty jokes, which are violating the social norms on the one hand, yet for at least the audience that is open enough or is open to discussing risque topics such as sex, it's benign enough. Puns kind of break the laws of linguistics, yet follow the rules of grammar. And it does a good job of describing how tickling works too, because a friend, someone who's benign, is threatening your personal space. Think about how you can't tickle yourself, that's completely benign. And some scary stranger can't tickle you, that's completely threatening. This theory does a good job not only of describing why things are funny, but it also tells us how jokes can fail. It says that jokes can fail in two ways. First, it can lack the violation part, in which case the joke becomes completely benign and boring, or it can miss out on the benign part, become a complete violation, and then become totally offensive. Notice how that aspect kind of depends on your audience. What's a violation for some is not a violation for others. What is benign for one audience may not be benign for another audience. This theory works, but how does it hold up under scientific scrutiny? Well, researchers wanted to know. So they set up a lab, the Humor Research Lab in Colorado, and they have had volunteers go through numerous tests to test out this theory. Here's an example of one of them. They gathered up volunteers to read a story that was based on a rumor about Keith Richards. While they were reading this story, their faces were videotaped to see if they were smiling or if they were laughing. Now this story may or may not be true, and it's about Keith Richards and his father. His father tells Keith Richards that he can do anything he would like with his cremated remains, so Keith Richards snorts them up his nose. After that, the participants were asked to choose whether they thought that story was totally inappropriate, or appropriate, or kind of both, inappropriate and appropriate, or neither. It turns out that the people who chose that it was both inappropriate and appropriate at the same time were 3 times more likely to find that story funny. Does a pretty good job. In conclusion, to summarize, I've described the benign violation theory of humor. Hopefully I've described how it does a pretty good job of explaining humor, not only what makes things funny, but what makes things not so funny, and how it's holding up, at least so far, under scientific scrutiny. I'd like to leave you with a couple of ideas about how this might help you out in your everyday life. Number 1, know your audience. Remember that according to the benign violation theory, the joke has to be both benign and a violation for that particular group of people, and it changes. And that brings me to the second point. Remember that if a joke you tell doesn't get any laughter, remember that it just isn't your fault. It isn't that you were not funny. It isn't even that the joke was not funny. You just didn't tell it to the right audience. So, thank you very much.